Now let's go to our regular panel of a Thursday. Tim Blair from the Daily Telegraph and Mark Nicholson from Stepmates Studios. Great to talk to both of you at this stage. I'll catch up with you on the big screen in just a moment. But first up, you must be both very, very concerned that we don't really have any leadership at the Australian Republican movement at the moment. They want a president, the Republicans, and they had co-chairs. Now they've got no chairs, Mark. We've lost both Nova Peris and Craig Foster.
That's right, Chris. Yeah, we've got Craig Foster off there drinking champagne with Pirate Pete now, talking about socialism. It's a sad thing, sad day for the ARM. But I've got to say, Nova Peris, what an argument she made for having an independent Australian head of state. Like, I'm not much of a Republic guy, but when you've got a gutless government who's just unwilling to say what they truly believe, stand up for what they believe, she made a really good argument for having a head of state who's not going to be beholden to a small number of electorates, and he's going to be willing to stand up and say what they truly believe. So, yeah, good on her.
Yeah, she was talking some sense, but Tim, if they're trying to promote a governance model, this is perhaps not the way to do it. They're completely rudderless at the moment.
Well, we all remember what happened in 2000 during the big Republican referendum. The Republican movement split into two camps. This time they've gone a little early. They haven't even waited for a vote, and they've gone into a total leadership spell. But I tell you what, Chris, with this gap of leadership, with this yawning gulf of leadership in the Republican issue, am I hearing any whispers about a certain Chris Kenny nominating himself for Republican leadership?
I could be the new president of the Australian Republican movement. I could borrow
Mr. Unity. Yes.
I could borrow the pirates' red bandana. That'd be perfect. Would I get to move into his Harbourside mansion as well? I wonder. We will see. You're very mischievous. You put me through a year of The Voice, and now you want to set me up with this one now.
Well, you keep leaving the door wide open, mate, and sure you could take the step down in social class and move into Pirate Pete's joint. I know it'd be tough for you moving out of the current Kenny mansion, but do it for the movement, my friend. Do it for the movement.
Indeed. Now, I want to stay on media matters actually, because on the serious end of this, there was some understandable criticism of the ABC over their appalling coverage of those terrible stabbings at Bondi Junction some weeks ago. They just couldn't get cameras there. They don't have any journalists and cameras. They can't cover hard news. But now you have a look where all the money's going. This is the Digital Story Innovation Team. They're giving us stories on whether people are wearing mullets in the AFL. And this story tells us that the ABC analysed the headshots and hairstyles of all AFL players in the 2024 season in search of some answers. I mean, this is extreme. Now, like me, Mark, I can tell from the look you've got now that, like me, you probably had a mullet way back in the day, but this is hardly an appropriate use of the ABC's meagre resources.
No, it's definitely not. And I remember, it's probably the most objective, unbiased piece that I've seen from the ABC in a long time, to be fair. But I was pretty triggered when I saw this today because, it was a dream of mine playing AFL footy. And first I had to come to terms with the fact that I'm not fit, tall, fast or talented enough. And now I learn that I don't have the hair for it. I'm spilling. I was triggered. They should have thought about my feelings, the ABC.
I had the mullet. It was just the rest of it that was lucky in my footy career. Tim, you've kind of got the front mullet, if you like, with the beard.
That's right.
But Mark raises a good point. It's good that the ABC just focused on the haircut. At least they weren't saying, anyone wearing a mullet is a far-right extremist.
Well, yeah, the best. They could have also made the point that the mullet, I can't remember the name of the comedian in the US who has a mullet, but he defines it as a unisex hairstyle. So it's kind of really good. It covers all the bases. But this is an example of, you can see how this story would have come about. This is a pub chat about mullets in the AFL that they've decided to throw some money at. And the concept is not too bad. I mean, we're talking about it because it's an interesting, funny little thing. But they've gone so ABC on it. They've gone so deep. They've spent so much money and time on it that they've even broken down the number of mullets by position on the field.
They have really. Good God.
The joke dies at that point. They've just gone too deep, too far, too long. like mullets themselves, this needs to be cut. It needs to be edited.
I'd like them to do a piece that measures the number of people wearing black shirts at the ABC as opposed to the wider community. I think that would be very, very instructive. The lefties love to dress in black, I've noticed. Just my theory. I'd love to see the ABC do the actual research on that. Now, we're talking before, Tim, about Pirate Pete and the mansion, and he's just a humble working class guy. He used to play some kind of rugby or something, I think. Have a listen to Kate Blanchett. She doesn't think she's very rich at all.
I mean, I'm white, I'm privileged, I'm middle class, and I think, one can be accused of having a bit of a white saviour complex.
Kate Blanchett is middle class, apparently, Tim.
Okay, her worth's up around the 200 million mark? That's now the middle. Okay, so if working class is like sub $10 million, is that how we're now breaking it down? Is that how we do it? Kate may have begun life as middle class. I mean, she went to Melbourne University and so on, not too far away from a certain excellent cartooning studio, but I don't think middle has been her sort of financial status for a very, very, very long time. But it is interesting. Everyone thinks they're middle class. Everyone would always put themselves somewhere in the centre, politically and financially. No one wants to admit to being too rich. No one's ever going to put their hand up and say, "God, I'm excessively upper class."
Yeah. Well, Mark, when I picture middle Australia, I'm still thinking of a quarter-acre block and a lawnmower and a couple of kids. But apparently, it's a yacht in the Riviera and strolling the red carpet at the Oscars.
Yeah, mate. She's got class dysphoria. She's not well. She's struggling. She's identifying as middle class, guys. Please.
Someone needs to prescribe. Someone should prescribe some wealth blockers for her. Now, I can't leave our chat today without giving the latest update on President Joe Biden. And I was just taken by the way he summed up one of his speaking engagements this week, and well, it was a stunning summary, a great climax to his speech. Let's have a look at it.
After I signed the PAC Act into law, I handed the pen that I signed it with as addition to the person most responsible for the legislation.
Yeah, Mark, could you just decipher that one for us? What, he signed an alpaca into law, or what was it?
Mate. The thing is, I can actually kind of relate to that. That's what I'm like after maybe 3 or 4 beers. I'm not well. I'm thinking potatoes, but I'm spitting out mash. Poor Joe Biden.
Tim, now you might know what he was trying to speak about, being such a student of US politics. Do you really believe he's going to front up for a debate next month?
Well, as long as the debate's kept onto topics about which Joe Biden's an expert, as long as he's talking about packer-clacker-knackers, we are in for an absolute decimation of President Trump. He won't be able to keep up on these complicated packer-clacker-knacker issues. Perhaps, is he referencing some kind of Native American tribe that used to occupy, I don't know. He does get caught up in the words and... yeah, roll on. I think, aren't we scheduled for 2 debates? That might be too many for the current president.
It might be. I would give anything just for one. I don't think they'll happen, but I'll turn up and tune in, that's for sure. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll catch you next week. Mark Nicholson and Tim Blair. Mark Nicholson from Stepmates Studios. See his stuff on those Pauline Hanson Please Explain cartoons. And Tim Blair, check out his blog via the Daily Telegraph website.